Welcome back. Well, from Harvard Eye Associates, I'd like to welcome back Dr. Nicoletta Stefanidis. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Always a pleasure. We're going to talk about, I think it's been in the news lately. It's kind of a fun subject because it's not something we've talked about before. We're talking about blue light. And what we're talking about here is that spectrum of light that often, even though it may not look blue when you're looking at it, people looking at their devices, their computers, whatever it might be, especially in a somewhat darkened room, and really what the news report was about trying to get some sleep and you're watching stuff on your laptop. More and more people do that than TV now as they are sitting in their bed at night, right?
Right.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. This is very interesting.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about in the evening my husband's on his iPad and I'm on my iPad.
Yes.
And I'm done before he's done, and I have to actually put my pillow up to shield so I don't see his light.
Yeah, that
screen.
happens with it's usually my wife that's still on hers a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right.
Yeah. So what we're talking about here is limiting our exposure to the blue light in a lot of different ways, on our computers, on our iPads, on our iPhones, on our watches, all of that stuff, and we don't know that we're getting it, but we are.
Yeah, exactly, and we're going to show some slides about this in just a moment. One of them is like the blue light spectrum, but it's interesting. This goes back in some cases years and years and years ago with TV.
Mm-hmm.
Turn off your TV before you go to bed and you're
Right.
darkened, or don't at least not have a totally darkened room with your TV on. And of course, if you were outside, let's say, you're walking down the street and you see that glow, what do you see? You see a bluish light, no matter what they're watching, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's the same today, except it's coming from different things.
Yeah, we don't realize, and you'll see on these slides that I presented here, that we get so much blue light exposure.
Right, and this comes from the American Optometric Associations, right?
Yeah, right. And it says 88% of the people are getting more exposure than they think they're getting. Like they're on those computers and pads and everything like 7 hours a day.
Right, it's
average.
true.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that goes with this is that unlike a TV, except when you were a kid and you'd lay in front of the TV really close, these are very close to our eyes.
Yes.
Quite often,
yeah.
15, 18 inches away.
Right.
Am I right?
And that's why we recommend having blue blockers on our glasses and our eyewear. And
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
There's even those brands out there. Do they really work?
Yeah, they do work. And also there's protectors for your screen on your computers that block out the blue light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I know that I think others have this as well, but like on iPads, they have night shift mode.
Right.
And what that does, when you turn that on and you can adjust it, basically what happens, I'd show it on the air, but you're not going to be able to see it. It creates almost a sepia tone. And have you seen this?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you're reading, you can do this, by the way, with a lot of the Kindles out here, the color Kindles, and the black and white ones, where you can adjust it very well. And I can tell you that on just like watching, you can turn it to a sepia tone, which I do.
Yeah.
I read Kindle books on my iPad, and I always have it on the more sepia tone. Unless I'm going to look at, sometimes there's photos, and I'll turn it back really quick.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll bring this up in just a moment.
Yeah.
So again, this is, here we go. We're going to go to the first slide about the American IQ survey revealed that 88% of Americans know that digital devices can negatively affect their vision. So the question is, does it affect it, when you're trying to sleep? Does it affect it just in general, where one day we're going to have to see folks like you because of it?
Yeah.
Tell me. What's that survey was about?
Yeah, what happens is that during the day when you're working on your monitor, you get that digital eye strain.
Yes.
You can get, and you'll see on one of my next slides here where.
Okay, we can go to the next slide that shows the blue light.
Yeah, you'll get digital eye strain, your shoulders hurt, your neck aches, all of those things that are associated with working on a close device. What this is about is what is blue light. And so you can see that sunlight is all the way from the red down to the purple here. The blue light's included in that. And so the blue light is a shorter wavelength. And so what happens is the ultraviolet, you always hear about, oh, you need UV protection when you're out in the sun. That is invisible. We don't see that. But the visible portion, the shorter wavelength, what happens is that you get that exposure, and some of it's good and some of it's not good. So you need a certain amount of blue light, but you don't need all the blue light.
That's what I was asking you when, for years on and off, you see those ads for those blue blocker sunglasses.
Yeah.
And and everybody, you kind of look at them. They're sometimes at the fairs and things like that, and you're really wondering, are these things really working? Are there better brands than others?
Yeah, you know what? I have a lot of patients asking me about gaming. Their kids are gaming.
Right.
And they want to know if their kids should be wearing something while they're gaming, and they should be.
Yeah.
And you'll see here what I just said here. Digital eye strain, sleep problems, blurred vision, headaches, neck and shoulder pain, all of those things are because of overexposure to blue light, which basically means they're looking at a screen of some sort.
Exactly. And here's some tips that people can do, and as we just talked about, that adjust your device to fit your needs.
Yeah.
And you can do many different things. Most devices nowadays have like a night shift mode, or you can certainly turn down the level of brightness, which saves your battery as well.
One of the things that we
all kinds of things.
Yeah, one of the things we like to talk about is power down at least an hour before you're ready to sleep.
Okay.
So don't use
That's a hard thing to do.
That's a hard thing to
Right.
do. It is very hard. Hard for young people, hard for old people. But that's what they recommend, is to power down at least an hour before you go to bed.
Right. I think what's hard about that, harder nowadays, is that, as I just alluded to when it comes to Kindles and things like that, not too many people are reading books like we used to anymore, unless you have a nice coffee table picture type book.
Yeah.
This is what you're using. You're using something like this because you can carry 1,000 books right there.
Right, right. And one of the things, so the second thing on there is the AOA, which is the American Optometric Association. If you can remember the 20-20-20 rule, which means every 20 minutes you should look 20 feet away for 20 seconds.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it's giving your eye a break from all of that.
That's good. That's easy to do. Now here's some symptoms. Now, this is something when we go to the second one down, especially, I think I've talked to you about this in some ways before. I'm sure we have talked about dry eyes.
Yes, yep.
And that you're seeing more and more of that.
Yes, and that's because a lot of times I'll counsel my patients when they're looking at their units and their desktops and their laptops and their all of that, where they should be positioning those. And if you're looking at them straight on, your lids are blinking in a different position than when you're looking at them slightly 20 degrees lower than your line of sight. So if you're working at a desk all day on a computer, you should try to lower that screen about 20 degrees so that your eyes are looking slightly down at it. It helps the blink position and then can help the dry eye issue.
And of course, eye irritation.
Yeah, burning and stinging comes from the fact that you're not blinking enough. Because when we're looking at these things and we're so interested in what we're reading or watching, we're not blinking enough.
Exactly. You know, going even all the way down, neck and shoulder pain.
Right.
I don't get that when I'm looking at my iPad, because normally it's down.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at a desktop, I get that all the time. If I'm working on something for a certain length of time.
Yeah, and you don't realize it. Yeah.
Yeah, without question. And the perils and benefits of UV, there are some benefits there, right?
Yes. UV rays, they have higher energy than the visible rays, and that's the part from the sun when you go out to the beach where you need your coverage. Too much exposure can cause a painful sunburn, and in moderation, obviously, it has a lot of beneficial effects. We have so many people taking vitamin D, and we get that from the sun. So I think there's a balance there. I've never seen so many people taking vitamin D. Their doctors are recommending the vitamin D. And I don't know if it's because we're using so much sun protection that we're not getting the vitamin D. Yeah, it's interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
Approximately 1/3 of all visible light is considered high energy visible HEV, or blue light.
Yes, 1/3 of it. So that's a lot.
That's an awful lot. We're getting it now. We're looking at a screen.
Exactly.
Key points about blue light. Blue light is everywhere, obviously. But, and we need some of it, right?
Yeah, we need some of it. We absolutely do, but we don't need all of it.
Okay.
And we don't need all of the hours that we're getting is a lot. It's everywhere. This is a pretty, well, this high energy light makes the sky look blue. The eye's not good at blocking out blue light. That's why we wear the protection. That's why we recommend the protection. It increases the risk for macular degeneration, again, contributes to the digital eye strain, and it may be even more important after cataract surgery because you no longer have your natural lens to block out some of that.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And then finally, blue light filters and protective eyewear. And we talked about those kind of glasses that you hear about. And what about normal sunglasses, good quality ones that have the polarizing effect? Is that?
Polarizing and UV, they're different. Blue blocking is different too. We do a lot of blue blocking on like clear lenses like what you're wearing. It has when it comes back from the laboratory, it has a slight, you can actually see a little color to it. But for people who are in front of things like this all day or on a computer, or people that design games, all of those are good reasons to have a blue blocker.
Okay, so when if you get new prescription glasses or whatever, you can
we recommend that.
You can ask that as like a little add-on or something.
The doctors usually will recommend now. We would like you to have a blue blocker on your lens because you're at your computer 6 hours a day or whatever.
Does one notice the color difference? I know
some people do.
Okay, when you put on those glasses again, these are the cheaper ones you see at the swap meets.
Not probably
everything
good.
looks orangey and all. These are different.
These are much better.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
So that's a very good point to ask about that.
Yeah, and we have a lot of patients that live in this community that are on their computers a lot. A lot of a lot of time they're using. So if they're wearing their glasses, we recommend a blue blocker on them.
Okay, very good. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
And by the way, some of these like devices, and some people may not know this, but I think Android tablets have this too. If you swipe up on your iPad or iPhone, there's a night shift mode. They added this about a year ago, and it'll turn everything kind of a slight sepia tone, which you get used to quite quickly. But take advantage of that because that's why that was put on.
Right.
Doctor, thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you again. We'll be right back.